Hi, my name is Charlie Mattingly with Leading Edge Financial Planning. Today, I want to talk to you about two related benefits at Southwest. We're preparing for open enrollment 2023, which the dates are October 25th through November 7th. And so today I want to just try to answer a few questions. We're not going to cover everything, but I wanted to address short-term disability and sick time. How much sick time should you have? That is a very personal topic, but I'll just talk about some of the things that go into making that decision. But first, let's tackle short-term disability, a couple of questions that we've had come up lately with that. First of all, the biggest question is, should I have short-term disability A or B? And so you're defaulted into A. So if you've never done anything, you have A. The other way to know that you've had A, in fact, SWAPA just sent an email out on October 16th that probably told you which one you have. But if you didn't get that, then you can look at your pay stub. If you're paying $106.21, you see that under STD on your pay stub, then you're getting short-term disability A. If you're paying, let's say it's $67.74, that's short-term disability B. So now let me give you some rules of thumb on what I think and why you might select one versus the other. In general, and this is a WAG, what we call a WAG anyway. If I have about 100 or more, 100 or less trips, maybe 150, maybe even 200 at the most, in my opinion, maybe I select short-term B. You know, it's cheaper. Now, here's the biggest difference. The reason it's cheaper is because short-term B does not start until you exhausted your sick time. So the reason I said 100 trips, 150 trips, because you're pretty much going to exhaust your sick time in a couple of months anyway. So that's the only reason I say that. Clearly, if you have zero sick time, then short-term disability A, short-term disability B are exactly the same. They're going to start on the 31st day of your disability. So that's a judgment call. Again, 100 to 150 trips or less, maybe short-term B is the way to go for you. You save $35, $40 a month, and you don't have a whole lot of sick time anyway. If it were me, had a couple hundred sick trips or more, I'd probably go right to short-term disability A. Again, that's just my opinion on that. That determination of how much sick time is anyone's guess and opinion. But again, remember the biggest difference is you're going to eat through all of your sick time before short-term disability B starts to pay for your disability. Now, and you really don't want to eat through all your sick time if you can help it. You really want to spread that out. And there'll be a couple other reasons we talk to here in a second. So that's short-term disability A. The benefit difference is when it starts. And again, that is the benefit difference. And the benefit cost is what I just said already. Short-term disability A, about $106 a month. B is about $67.75 a month. So that's one way to think about it. Some people have asked, should I have short-term disability at all? Some people have canceled short-term disability. It runs for 22 weeks, which is about 5 months. And it pays an average of about $6,600 a month is the way that's going to play out there. Because again, some days, some months have fewer weeks than others. But that's about what it looks like. Now, if you have zero debt, a stellar emergency fund, and you say, hey, I don't need $6,600 a month for 5 months, well, then don't do it. To me, that's quite a bit of money. And you can weigh the benefits, pros and cons of that decision for yourself as well. But again, if you had zero debt, stellar emergency fund, access to, monies outside of your retirement accounts, then maybe you don't need short-term disability. But I think that's probably the exception versus the rule. In general, I would recommend keeping it. But nonetheless, that is certainly a decision you have. So let's talk real quick about sick time. Sick time, to me, is a little more complicated than we make it out to be. And sick time is a very personal decision. But anyway, your sick time is there for you to use as you see fit. It's part of the contract. But beyond that, let's talk about how we can use it for the best for you. So sometimes people use it and they don't want to have any. They've got, again, zero debt, plenty of emergency fund, plenty of money access outside the 401k. Maybe they don't need a lot of sick time. So if I do have a lot of sick time, what benefit does that get me? And in general, is there a rule of thumb? I would say no, there is no rule of thumb. If it were me, I'd probably shoot for 600 sick trips. Is that a rule of thumb? I don't think so. It's just, to me, it gets me through those first 6 months of disability until long-term disability and possibly loss of license kick in. Now, what are some benefits of having more sick time? Well, there's a lot of benefits. And I think, let me share my screen with you real quick. And I think that, to me, our sick time basically turns into a mega emergency fund / short-term disability. And let me explain a little further. So if I have, let's see here if I can annotate on this screen. If I have a lot of sick time, you can see this is an example. This is the SWAPA calculator, disability calculator, which is excellent. Highly recommend that you go there for your particular situation. Put in your date of hire, the type of short-term disability you have, and your sick time, and it will spit out a scenario for you. This is a particular pilot as a captain with a lot of sick time. And so you can see that they were able to, and if you want, you can use 47.5 trips per month. That's the minimum. I think the maximum is 105. But if you use the minimum 6 trips a month and pair that up with either short-term disability or your long-term disability, then you're going to have a pretty good paycheck throughout disability for a while. The maximum sick trips is 1,600, which is quite a bit. But having more sick time gives you the ability to spread out that sick time for longer periods of time. If I can take 47.5, that's great. Spread that sick time out. If I get short-term disability, which I should have short-term disability A if I have a lot of sick time, then I get to spread that sick time over top of my short-term disability. It starts right away, gives me some flexibility there. Now, you'll notice in this scenario, if I can, let me get rid of a couple of lines here to not junk up the screen too bad, but you'll notice in this situation, as we scroll down a little bit, that this particular pilot does not have loss of license starting in the 7th month, and instead long-term disability starts. So the reason this is happening is because of all the sick time this pilot has. Loss of license is going to start after the artificial last day pay. So that's basically, that formula is in the contract to keep you from digging through there. Basically is your sick time plus vacation divided by 95 trips. That's when your loss of license will start. Okay, so that's why you don't see anything there, but that's okay, because long-term disability kicks in and gives you the $13,500 tax-free. Hopefully with a new contract that goes up. Okay, the other thing that's important and I think beneficial about having more sick time than less is that while I have sick time, and again, I can spread this out for longer if I want, or I can choose anywhere between 47.5 and 105 trips a month. The longer I spread that out, the longer I'm an employee of Southwest Airlines. And that's important because, as you know, once your sick time is exhausted, you are no longer considered part of the group. And I say group because that means group life insurance, group health insurance. That's when that clock, it's actually a 120-day clock starts, which you will exit as part of the group. And again, that's when life insurance changes. Health insurance starts to change because you're no longer part of those group policies. So that's what I think can be a benefit of having more sick time versus less. Again, that's a very personal decision, up to you. But those are some things to think about with short-term disability. A, B, how much sick time should I have? And what are the pros and cons? To me, again, short-term disability, it's probably going to be beneficial unless, again, you have no debt, a large access to a large emergency fund outside of your Southwest retirement plans. Sick time to me acts like extra short-term disability. Extra emergency fund just gives me the ability to have more money in case something really bad happens to me. And the final thing I forgot to mention about sick time, under the current contract, we don't know what the new contract will be like, whether they offer to purchase your sick time back. But under the current contract, you can use your sick time if you retire early. You can use it for healthcare. 120 trips per year gets you healthcare for that year for you. If you're on Medicare, your spouse is younger than you, then your spouse can get health care with your sick time, again, at 120 sick trips per year under the current contract. Hopefully that helps. Think about short-term disability and how much sick time you should have or think about having depending on your current circumstances. Thanks for listening. Please reach out if you have any questions at charlie@leadingedgeplanning.com. Our website is leadingedgeplanning.com, and we'd love to hear from you. We're not associated with Southwest Airlines or SWAPA. These are our opinions and hopefully helpful, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Leading Edge Financial Planning, LLC is a registered investment advisor. Advisory services are only offered to clients or prospective clients where Leading Edge Financial Planning and its representatives are properly licensed or exempt from licensure. For additional information, please visit our website at www.leadingedgeplanning.com. The information provided is for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice, and it should not be relied on as such. It should not be considered a solicitation to buy or an offer to sell a security. It does not take into account any investor's particular investment objectives, strategies, tax status, or investment horizon. You should consult your attorney or tax advisor. The views expressed in this commentary are subject to change based on market and other conditions. These documents may contain certain statements that may be deemed forward-looking statements. Please note that any such statements are not guarantees of any future performance, and actual results or developments may differ materially from those projected. Any projections, market outlooks, or estimates are based upon certain assumptions and should not be construed as indicative of actual events that will occur. All information has been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but its accuracy is not guaranteed. There is no representation or warranty as to the current accuracy, reliability, or completeness of, nor liability for, decisions based on such information, and it should not be relied on as such.